Imagine learning something once and remembering it for the rest of your life. Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you there is a dark memory trick so powerful that once you learn it, your brain will never study the same way again? And strangely, most schools never teach it. Number 1. Imagine studying something today and remembering it perfectly years later. Not hours, not days, years. Most people believe memory works like a weak muscle, something that fades no matter what you do. But what if the real problem isn't your brain? What if the real problem is how you were taught to learn? Because hidden behind traditional education, there is a memory system so powerful that once you understand it, your brain will begin to remember things in a completely different way. And strangely, most schools never teach it. Number 2. The learning system problem. Think about how school teaches students. You read a chapter, you highlight sentences, then you read the same page again. It feels productive. But neuroscience discovered something shocking. Reading the same information again and again does not create strong memory. It only creates familiarity. Your brain simply recognizes the information, and recognition tricks you into believing you understand something. But when you close the book, suddenly the information disappears. This is the biggest illusion in education. Number 3. Why your brain forgets. Your brain is not designed to remember everything. In fact, your brain is designed to delete information constantly. Every second, your senses collect massive amounts of data, sounds, images, words, movements. If your brain stored everything, you would go insane. So your brain filters information and keeps only things that seem important. The question is, what makes something important to the brain? Number 4. The survival memory system. Your brain evolved thousands of years ago, long before books, long before classrooms. Back then, memory was connected to survival. Your brain quickly remembered things that were dangerous, emotional, or extremely unusual. If something looked boring, the brain ignored it. But if something was strange or shocking, the brain stored it immediately. This ancient survival system still controls your memory today. Number 5. The power of strange images. This leads to a powerful discovery. The brain remembers images far better than words. Words are abstract. Images are concrete. But the most powerful images are not normal ones. They are strange, exaggerated, or even disturbing images. For example, if you try to remember the word neuron by repeating it, your brain may forget it quickly. But imagine a giant glowing brain creature shooting electricity across a city. Suddenly your brain locks onto the image, and the word becomes unforgettable. Number 6. How memory champions think. Memory champions do not have supernatural brains. In fact, many of them have completely normal intelligence. Their secret is simple. They transform boring information into visual stories. A number becomes an object. A word becomes a character. A concept becomes a scene. These mental scenes create powerful connections inside the brain. And once those connections exist, recalling information becomes much easier. Number 7. The Memory Palace Technique. One of the oldest and most powerful memory systems is called the Memory Palace. Ancient scholars used it thousands of years ago. The idea is simple. You imagine a place you know very well, your house, your school, or a familiar street. Then you place information inside that location. Maybe a giant book is sitting on your kitchen table. Maybe a glowing brain is floating in your bedroom. When you mentally walk through that place later, your brain retrieves every piece of information. Number 8. The power of active recall. But visualization alone is not enough. There is another powerful technique called active recall. Most people study by reading information repeatedly. But the brain actually strengthens memory when it is forced to retrieve information without looking. For example, read a concept once, then close the book. Now ask yourself, what did I just learn? This mental struggle forces your brain to rebuild the memory, and every time you retrieve information, the neural pathway becomes stronger. Number 9, the forgetting curve. Scientists discovered something called the forgetting curve. It shows how quickly the brain forgets information. Within 24 to 48 hours, most people lose a large percentage of what they studied. But there is a solution. If you review the information right before your brain forgets it, the memory becomes dramatically stronger. This process is called spaced repetition, and it is used by some of the most effective learners in the world. Number 10. The dark learning loop. Now imagine combining all these techniques: strange visualization, memory palaces, active recall, spaced repetition. Together they create something powerful. a learning system that continuously strengthens memory. This creates what we can call the dark learning loop. Every time the loop repeats, your brain becomes better at storing and retrieving information. Number 11. The brain rewiring effect. When you repeatedly train memory in this way, something incredible begins to happen. Your brain physically changes. Neural connections become stronger. New pathways are formed. This process is known as neuroplasticity. It means your brain is not fixed. It can literally upgrade itself. Number 12. The focus factor. Memory also depends heavily on focus, but modern life constantly attacks our attention. Notifications, social media, endless distractions. Every time your focus breaks, your brain resets the learning process. That is why elite learners practice deep focus sessions. Short periods of intense concentration, even 20 minutes of true focus, can outperform hours of distracted studying. Number 13. The dopamine problem. There is another hidden enemy of learning, dopamine addiction. Your brain constantly searches for quick rewards, scrolling social media, watching endless videos. These habits train your brain to prefer easy stimulation, but real learning requires effort. When you reduce constant stimulation, your brain becomes more comfortable with deep thinking. Number 14. The teaching method. One of the fastest ways to strengthen knowledge is surprisingly simple. Teach it. When you explain something to another person, your brain organizes the information more clearly. You notice gaps in your understanding, and when you fix those gaps, your knowledge becomes far more powerful. This method is often called the Feynman technique. Number 15. Final message. Here is the truth most people never realize. Your brain is far more powerful than you were ever told. The problem was never your intelligence. The problem was the system you used to learn. Once you understand how memory actually works, learning becomes faster, thinking becomes sharper, and information begins to stick in ways you never expected. Your brain was never weak. It was simply never trained correctly. And once you start training it properly, you unlock a power most people never discover. If you want to learn more dark psychology and brain training secrets, subscribe to the channel, because the next video might completely change how you think.